Yeah, we've begun. So we're recording and we officially start. Hi, everyone. My name is Brian Teasdale and welcome to the Human Library. This evening, we have several talks throughout the semester. Tonight, we have a very special guest, Emy. And I'll read it. Well, first of all, just a background. Emy was one of my former students, one of my favorite students, I would say. Is that nice? And I've told her about this presentation last semester, and this semester she accepted to present. And I can give you like a quick introduction. It's what's from the website. You know, we're used to seeing the world in black and white, yet gender, like many aspects of society, is a social construct that's shaped by culture and history. So through her talk, Emy Bordeleau-Rossignol invites participants to move beyond the myths and polarizing narratives by exploring the realities of trans communities, including common misconceptions about cost, health, mental health, and public policy. Okay, so we hear a lot about this, especially what's going on down south in the United States, where they're basically abolishing everything in terms of acceptance of transgender people or anything that's different. And I think that this talk is going to be highly enlightening. So, welcome, Emy. I'll let you start.
Thank you, Brian, for this introduction. So let's start. Violence toward trans people is everywhere. It's in the headline, in the debates, and sometimes in the comment section we know we shouldn't read but do anyway. And lately it feels closer than ever, not just in far off places, but right across our borders, in community that look like ours. Today, I want to do something different. My name is Emy Bordeleau. I use she/they pronoun, and I identify as non-binary. This past summer, I had the privilege of working in a safe place for trans people, a place where stories were shared, where laughter echoed, where fear softened. It was a place where people arrived carrying years of silence and left carrying something lighter. After hearing so many stories, I realized something simple but important. We spend so much time talking about what's going wrong that we forget to talk about what's going right. We forget to talk about joy, we forget to talk about resilience, and we forget to talk about the small victories that happens quietly, without deadlines, without applause. So today we're going to talk about both. We're going to clear up misinformation because clarity is a form of care, but we're also going to celebrate. We're going to talk about hope, about community, about kindness, and about the future we're building together. Let's begin. So, the binary problem. The world isn't black and white, as Brian told us. Human loves categories, but we love the feeling that everything fits neatly somewhere. It's comforting in a way, like labeling boxes in a basement so you don't lose track of your stuff. We grow up learning that everything comes in pair, good or bad, right or wrong, men or women. It's a simple system, and simple systems are tempting. They make the world feel predictable. But the world is not predictable. The world is not binary. Think about colors. When you were a child, you learned the basic red, blue, yellow. Then you grew older and discovered that the world contained shades you never imagined. Deep greens that look almost black, pink that feel like sunsets, blues that remind you of winter morning. The more you learned, the more beautiful the world became. Gender works the same way. We are taught two categories, men and women, but human experience is richer than that. Gender is not a rigid structure, it's a living language. It shifts, it adapts, it grows. It's a social construct. Not in the sense that it's imaginary, but in the sense that it's something we created together, like money or fashion, or the unspoken rule that you don't talk to someone in the bathroom stall next to you unless the building is on fire. So, and because we created it, it can evolve. The binary is not a truth, it's a habit, and habits can change. The binary doesn't only limit trans people, it limits everyone. It tells men that softness is a weakness. It tells women that ambition is arrogance. It tells non binary people that they are a glitch in the system. It tells children that curiosity is dangerous. And yet, when you step outside the binary, even for a moment, the world became much bigger. You start noticing the shades between things. You start noticing that people are not categories, they are stories, they are contradiction. Now, let's talk about the most EVR part of this presentation. So let's go through it. It's about the cost of trans healthcare. Something that makes people very emotional. Money. Nothing gets people more worked up than money. In Canada, about 100,000 people aged between uh, 15 and more identify as transgender. That's roughly a third of a percent of the population. Despite this small number, public conversation often exaggerate the financial burden of trans healthcare. So let's take a look at those numbers. Hey,
Okay.
so hey, Canada healthcare's budget is around $400 billion. That's a lot. Trans-specific care costs 54.6 million. That's 0.01365% of the total. So much. If the healthcare budget were $100 bill, trans care would cost 1 cent. It's all about the cent. Yet, somehow this 1 cent become the center of heated debate, moral panic, and long Facebook posts written in all caps by someone who hasn't seen the light of day in a decade. Here's the part people forget. Trans self-care saves money in the long run. You might be wondering why. When people receive gender-affirming care, they experience fewer mental health crises, fewer hospitalizations, fewer emergency intervention, and better overall health. They're more stable, more supported, and more able to participate fully in society. Investing in trans people is not expensive. Ignoring trans people is. Beyond the number, there's something even more important. Trans healthcare is not a luxury, it's not cosmetic, it's not optional, it's a lifeline. It's the difference between surviving and living. It's the difference between fear and possibility. When we talk about cost, we should also talk about value. The value of a life lived authentically, the value of a person who feels safe in their own skin, the value of a community that supports its member instead of debating their existence. 1 cent is a small price to pay for dignity. Now, we talked about mental health, so let's go in that subject already. Let's address another myth. Being trans is not a mental illness. Higher rates of anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts in trans communities are not caused by being trans. They are caused by the world around us. So what could cause that? Discrimination, rejection, misinformation, the constant feeling of being unsafe in place where safety should be given. Now imagine living in a world where your identity is constantly questioned, where your existence is debated, where strangers think they know your body better than you do. Imagine walking into a bathroom and feeling like you're entering a courtroom. Imagine having to justify your humanity every time you fill out a form, visit the doctor, or introduce yourself. That pressure builds. It wears people down. But here's the hopeful part. When trans people are supported, affirmed, and safe, mental health outcomes improve dramatically. The problem isn't trans identity, the problem is the environment, and environments can change. And they do change. Slowly, unevenly, and perfectly, but they change. Every time someone learns a new pronoun, every time someone listens instead of arguing, every time someone chooses kindness over fear, The environment shifts, not dramatically, not all at once, but in small, steady way that accumulate over time. Healing doesn't happen in silence, it happens in community. Okay, that was the
It is
heavy part.
beautiful. Seriously, I love it, man.
Oh,
And
thanks.
poetic.
So I always I always write it in a very lyrical way, so that will be apparent in the rest of the presentation. And we're going right into my personal experience, so it's gonna be a little less heavy than the rest. Now that we've explored the broader landscape, the system, the myth, the number, I want to bring this closer to home. Statistics are important, but stories are what changes hearts. So let me tell you about my own journey. When I was a little kid, I was the odd one out. I always preferred playing with dolls, but I still loved my little toy cars from time to time. I was born in 2001, not that long ago. Yet, people were already judging. Discrimination doesn't start with slurs or laws. It starts the moment an adult tells a child that toys have genders. The moment someone decides what you're supposed to like, they're already shaping the limits of who you're allowed to become. When the toys placed in your hand are chosen for you, they become part of your gender expression, long before you even know what that means. If you've been told to like little cars, then cars must be a boy thing, right? And if you reach for something else, suddenly you're doing something wrong. The way our identities form in childhood is deeply influenced by the world around us. So, when a child's curiosity is treated like a problem, their experience of themselves becomes smaller, thinner, and complete. I had a hard time figuring out who I was. I was always being stopped from doing the thing I wanted to do, from exploring the things that felt natural to me. For a long time, it felt like I was an empty shell, just moving through life without really living it. Then adulthood arrived, and with it, freedom. My incredible ex partner helped me discover who I was. There was no judgment, only care. For the first time, I could try on the clothes I had secretly wished for, experiment with makeup, and see myself smile in a way that felt real. From that moment on, I finally had the space to explore my identity. And I did. I tried so many things, followed so many sparks of curiosity, and slowly I became someone who is passionate about a lot of different things. Without the chance to become my true self, I would probably still be stuck somewhere, rotting quietly, not knowing what I wanted from life. But being able to express myself opened doors I didn't even know existed. It led me toward art, coding, philosophy, psychology, entire worlds that suddenly felt possible. All of them seemed so interesting, so full of potential. I still don't know exactly what I'll be doing in the future. The path ahead is mysterious, but with so many interests, I have a feeling it's going to be wonderful. So, here's what I've learned: be curious, try new things, and treat yourself with kindness. It's amazing where that can lead you. And now it's time to talk a bit about. Oh, you have a question, Brian?
No, no, I just said it was beautiful. Thanks
Oh,
for
thank
sharing
you.
that.
You're very welcome, all of you. Now it's time to talk about how to support the community. Let's talk about what support actually look like. Not in theory, but in daily life. Sorry. Okay. Pronouns are one of the simplest form of respect. Introducing yourself with your name and pronouns normalize the practice and signals safety. When I started the presentation, I told you, my name is Emy Bordeleau. I use she, they pronoun, and I label myself as non-binary. I told my name, my pronoun, and you can also do that in French. In French, you need to say what accord you use, depending on feminine and masculine. So it would be like, bonjour, mon nom c'est Emy Bordelot. J'utilise les pronoms elle et elle, et j'utilise l'accord féminin. J'aurais pu dire masculin, et j'aurais pu dire en alternance. Donc, varier entre les deux. It tells people you don't have to guess. You don't have to hide with me. And if you make a mistake, which you will, because you're human, you correct yourself gently and move on. No dramatic apology. I hate those. No emotional monologue, just a small adjustment, like fixing a crooked picture frame. Some people are afraid of pronouns because they're afraid of messing up, but messing up is normal. What matters is trying, listening, adjusting, and not making it about yourself. When someone is genuinely trying, celebrate that. Growth deserves encouragement. So many, I know a lot of trans people, non-binary people who will just be really pissed about the fact that someone had to correct themselves, but it's not there that it starts. It starts the moment someone is trying. And we need to acknowledge that because I think if we see that with an angle that is more offensive, you're not gonna make your message clear. Creating a safe place is not about decoration or slogan. It's about behavior. It's about using inclusive language, avoiding assumption, respecting boundaries, and listening more than you speak. A single person can make a room feel safe or unsafe, depending on how they show up. Boundaries are essential. They protect people, relationships, and communities. Respecting boundaries means not asking invasive questions, not assuming someone's body or history, not outing people without consent, and understanding that comfort levels vary. Boundaries are not walls, they are bridges to healthier interaction. It's time to talk about healing and moving forward. We all carry generational trauma. Queer people, yes, but also society as a whole. We inherit fears, bias, and habits that don't serve us anymore. Healing means choosing differently. It means building a future where diversity is celebrated, where trans people are welcomed, where kindness is the norm, where curiosity replaces fear, and where community replaces isolation. That future is possible. I've seen glimpses of it. In safe place, the place I've worked this summer, in my friendship all around me, in chosen family I made, in moments of courage, in laughter that survive impossible things. And today, by being here, you're part of that future too. Thank you.
Beautiful. I prepared all that yesterday. Great. So that's it's quite something to share when you think about it. Um, I know maybe some of you have questions. I have one or two questions, and I can start. And if you want, I'll stop the
I
recording.
wanna press. I wanna. Well, yeah, you can finish the register
Uh,
recording.
the recording. Okay.